back to the channel. Today I wanted to sit with you mamas and share our July read alouds, as well as do a little book review on some of the books I had been reading and a little update. So if you'd like to hear more, then let's get started. Hey you, did you hit that play button for the very first time? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Tasha. This is Tasha Pivots, where we talk about all things mamahood and homeschool and how I'm pivoting through this journey. And I am so glad that you decided to hang out with us today. First, of course, of every month, I always love sitting with you guys and sharing with you our read alouds that we do each month. Now, I, for one, am so hyped because our library finally opened back up. It had been closed, and it honestly has been closed since the pandemic started, and we haven't been able to go there. So I have actually spent a lot of time either repurposing books, utilizing the books that we already have, and then also purchasing a lot of books, which I have no complaint there. I love books, but it has been really great to be able to take my girls to the library and pick out some really good read alouds that we can read for the month. And so I'm going to share those with you. All right, guys, let's hop into these books. These are all library books, mind you, so none of these are ones that I've purchased or that was already in our library. These are the ones that we chose for the month of July. Okay, so I'm going to actually start with our read alouds, and I'm going to share with you guys some of the books that my daughter chose for her reading, as her reading level has now upgraded. Okay, so the first book I have is Birdsong. And this one is so beautiful. It is about this young girl who ends up moving to a new place away from all her family, and she meets this elderly woman, and they build this wonderful, sweet relationship because of the love for art. And I'm so excited. I love the pictures. It's very much my aesthetic in my life. I love watercolor. I love the muted tones, and I feel like it's so inviting to read this with your children, as well as just overall the beautiful story line. So I'm excited to be reading this with my girls. The next one is The Song of Delphine, and this cute story is about this little girl who is a servant at Queen Theodora? That's what it was that threw me off, because I was thinking of Theodore and I was like, that's a boy. But Queen Theodora, and it's this cute little story about this servant and her relationship with the queen. And so we are going to be reading this. We're going to be reading this for the month of July. All of these are new to me. I actually let the girls choose their stories. So I haven't read these before. We haven't been on our radar. It's just been, we're just gonna pick and find some really good ones to read. The one that we've been repeating already with my youngest, my preschooler, is NOFUZZBALL, which is such a hilarious story about this cat who her name is Fuzzball, but because their owner is always yelling, "No Fuzzball, no Fuzzball," he believes his name is NOFUZZBALL. And it's this cute, whimsical story about how he believes that his owners love him and worship him in everything that he does, even though he can be quite a terror. And we have two little kittens. Well, they're not kittens anymore. We have two cats in our home, so we can relate. But this has been a favorite already. So if you have cat lovers, check that book out. The next one that I just read with Josephine the other day is Abracadabra. This is such a cute preschool, kindergarten story to do a read aloud. It is about this cute little spider, and yes, that is the only time you will hear me say cute and spider in the same sentence. But it's this cute story about this spider and this caterpillar and how they're friends, and how he's so busy trying to show her all the magical things he can do with his web. And as the story goes along, every time he does something new, he says abracadabra. And by the end, he learns that even his best friend, the caterpillar, is also magical because she turns into a butterfly. So this is so fun if you're doing a beast or a bug study and you want to do a little fun story for the week. This would be a great pick and find, especially if you have preschoolers who are doing a year of learning and doing even, let's see, which ones is there a spider in? I think it's A Year of 100 Acre Woods. There's this whole spider study. And I don't think there's a butterfly one in there. But again, this is a good book for that. Next one is The Not So Quiet Library. I thought this was fun. I think my oldest picked this one out to read to her little sister. But as you can see, we have a little boy and then we have a tiger. I won't say I know much about what's going on this, but this one is, there's nothing Oscar and Theodore enjoy more than a quiet Saturday at the library. But when a hungry five-headed monster storms in thinking he has found all-you-can-eat buffet, it's up to Oscar and Theodore to make the not-so-quiet library quiet once more. Which this, honestly, just by that, would be a great story for us to read when we do take our kids to the library and reminding them that it is a space where we can be quiet. I'm always practicing that, even when we're in public places. I'm like, all right, let's do our library voice. All right, guys, the next one I have here is Sharing a Smile. And this story is so sweet. It is about this young little girl who notices everyone's experiences with having to wear a mask. This one is fairly new that was released. So I was really excited and surprised that I found it at our library. But it is this beautiful story about how, like, in the house we can not have to wear a mask, but when we go outside we have to, and how it hides our smile. And even though the world is opening back up, we still see that wearing a mask has come sort of a norm for our children. And I loved how sweet this story shares how, taking this unprecedented time, this little girl decides to make masks of things that, the fabrics that would represent their friends and the things that they love, and make little masks for them to take. And she does it with her grandpa, which I thought was the sweetest thing ever. So this is such a good story. Definitely check it out. It's very diverse, all different types of people. And yeah, I'm excited to keep reading this. And we might even make us some masks, even though we don't wear them as much now, but you never know. When you're traveling, flying, you can always make some masks. Okay, so there's those. Those are all of our read alouds that we are doing for the month of July. I have some that I'm gonna be reading with Zoe personally. And then also, she's already read one of these. My girl has really expanded her reading. We've been testing her reading level. She is between a 3rd and 4th grade reading. And so we are slowly but finally transitioning her out of a lot of her 2nd grade reading books that she was reading because she's reading them so fast. And we'd have pop quizzes and we'd do book reports and she'd be like, yeah, I got it. Tell you the whole story, give you a summary, everything. And I love that. It makes my heart so warm as a book lover I am. But I really wanted to challenge her a little bit, find some books that were a little bit more in the 3rd grade range. And so the first ones I have that I found here is The Cats of Tanglewood Forest. It's a pretty thick book. We found this one in the library, and I made sure that every book that she found, I did some research on it, as well as making sure it was at the reading level and at the understanding capacity that she is at. And so this one is about this little girl who goes into this forest, and at first she's trying to find fairies. She's trying to look at all the whimsical things, but she ends up running into a whole forest of cats. If you know my daughter or you've been on my channel for some time, you already have understood that my kids love cats, and especially Zoe's favorite animal are cats. So she has started reading this one so far. She says it's really good. And so I have moments where I have her read it aloud to me, a chapter or two, and then I'll give her also time to do independent time of reading this. Now, one that she's already read is Anne B. TV. And this one is super cute about this girl who actually is in 5th grade and wants to be on television. And so I made sure, you know, even though it was a little bit higher in the age group, it still was a great story. And I liked that it was a little bit different for my daughter. Most of my daughter's books are always animals based. And so this one was really cool for her to read about a little girl. And so she's been really enjoying this one. And I think she already did her book report on this. So this one was a really good find. The last one, which we are actually going to read from top to bottom all together because there's a sensitive subject in this book, and that is A Big and Little Questions, according to Ren Joybird. And I made sure this was still within her reading level. This is like a 3rd to 4th grade, or 3rd to 5th grade reading. And it's about this young girl whose parents end up getting a divorce. Now, that's not happening in my home, but I didn't want to shy away from it. I knew that it was a sensitive subject, and I know that my daughter does ask a lot of questions. We have a lot of conversations. And so I want to read this with her. I want to talk about the emotions that the little girl is going through and allow that to be a learning lesson with us of being compassionate and empathetic to other people and their experiences and understanding their experiences from an outside perspective. And so we're going to use this as a really good lesson for this month as we're going to be reading it together. All right, guys, so those are all our books, and if you're still with me, awesome. I am going to share with you, I think I only have I have 2 books that I read this month. So in the month of June, I shared with you guys my summer reading. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I've added way more books to that, and I am still in the process, but I'm really proud of myself. I read about 5.5 books in the month of June. I had time, I found time. And I wanna keep encouraging you, Mama, if you love reading, but you haven't had time, find the time, less time on your phone, pick up a book. I have just found such rest and such, I don't know, like adventurous, I don't even know if that's the word, but just finding a part of myself that I have suppressed for so long because my life and my schedule didn't fit it. And I always loved books, and I've always wanted to, me and my husband's dream is always to own a bookshop one day that has a tea and coffee in it, but we've always loved reading. And, now I read so much to my kids that I haven't had much time to read for myself and the things that I enjoy reading. And so this last month, I actually made the decision that not only was I going to do soul care, but I'm also going to read some of the subjects and areas that I love. So my favorite 3 categories or genres are historical fiction or historical fiction romance, mystery and crime, and then soul care, which is all of the books that you guys always see on here that I'm sharing with you, where they're more like self-help books, but I don't like self-help, so I like soul care instead, because a lot of mine are really about working on your soul, and then from your soul to to yourself and changing the things and having different outlooks. So I've been really enjoying that process. My Lowly Veil Mamas, we just finished Missional Motherhood, which was so good. If you guys are looking for a book that's going to challenge you in your faith and your spiritual walk as a mama, to having understanding of what is the missional purpose of you and your journey as a mom, check that book out. I cannot say any more than that. I mean, honestly, I might do a whole blog post on my whole thoughts on that book. Okay, so I actually picked up this one at the library. I got myself some books. I was mentioning that to you guys last week. So this is Mrs. Bennet Has Her Say, and it's a little twist on Jane Austen story about the Bennet family. And if you're a Jane Austen fan, then you'll recognize that. But it was letters written back and forth to from Mary Ann to her sister, and then Sister Jane, and then it also has Mr. Edwards Bennet's thoughts as he's journaling. And it's funny. It's also, relatable in a sense of just the process in that time period. I love everything about the 17th and 18th century when it comes to reading it. Honestly, I know I wouldn't want to live in that time and the experiences because they're very different than today. But there's something about it. I miss the gentleman, and then the very, eloquent women of the time and how they dressed and how they talked, and it just seems so poetic to me. So I love that. So I enjoyed this book. Another one that was more modern but still a fiction romance book, and I'm actually quite a new fan of this author, and that is Emily Henry's Beach Read. If you're looking for a summer read, I read this in no joke 2 days. I couldn't put it down. I would be cooking and reading it. I would be folding laundry and then, taking a minute to read a little bit more, sneaking little moments when I'm in the restroom or, before I go to bed, reading at least 2 or 3 chapters. And it was such a good book. I miss having modern fiction romance. It's been a while. It's a rom-com, and she has a new book actually out, and I will let you know because I have a copy coming my way. But if you're looking for something where your kids are out at the pool, daddy's got them in the pool, and you're sitting out and you can lay out, read this book. It was really good. Okay, and I think that's it. I can't even share anymore. I will at the end of July do a full review of some of the books that I have been reading, as well as give you guys a review on my thoughts about some of the books that I've covered with the kids. And until next time, if you love this video, give it a thumbs up, and if that lets me know you like these types of videos so I can do more of them. Hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and until next time, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.